We're back with another installment of the Browns positional previews that are going on with training camp and all that. This one's going to be previewing the wide receiver position. This position is a lot less set in stone as we go down the depth chart than it is with maybe quarterback and running back. We're going to start off with the clear top dog, though, at wide receiver with Amari Cooper. He was traded from the Cowboys to the Browns for a fifth-round pick. That $20 million per year was a bit much for the Cowboys. Apparently, they didn't like him at that payment, so they traded him to the Cleveland Browns. They were going to cut him, but the Browns said, "We'll give you a fifth for him," and the Cowboys said, "Okay, that works for us." And this is a contract that, to me, looks better by the signing. We're seeing all these wide receivers sign for deals that are more expensive than what Amari Cooper has right now, and this is a contract that is going to probably look better and better as the signings keep going on. His training camp has only lasted a couple of days, and he's already saying all the right things to get Browns fans, hyped up, saying, it doesn't matter what quarterback he's playing for, he's going to make their job easy by getting open. So that's always fun to hear. Always gets you excited for the season. And hopefully he is able to create opportunities for himself by getting open no matter who is under center or in shotgun, as we talked about. But hopefully he opens up opportunities for wide receivers that are lower on the depth chart that could use a guy like Amari Cooper, dragging defenders away from them, maybe getting them on more one-on-one matchups. Guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Bell, who's a rookie who could really use maybe just less defensive pressure on him. Hopefully Amari Cooper embraces and really plays that role well of a true wide receiver number one. He has shown, greatness in the past with both the Raiders and the Cowboys. It's just a matter of, can he put it together for a full season? He has had injury issues. There have been some maybe disappearing act issues during, big games and playoff moments and all that. But as far as the Browns go, he is their clear number one. I'm excited for what Amari Cooper is going to do on the field. And now we'll move on to the next wide receiver in the lineup, Donovan Peoples-Jones. This year, he's looking to have a year that matches the expectations coming out of camp. He didn't have a bad year last year, but last year he was expected to kind of break out into more of a star role for the Browns after a tremendous training camp and offseason. Didn't quite happen that way. There were some plays where he looked very good. He looked like he could be that guy. But I think it is important to remember that he was a sixth-round pick, and what they've gotten for him so far in just the limited time that he's had with the Browns still feels like a steal in the sixth round. So good for Andrew Barrett for getting him there. He's looked pretty good in training camp already, but again, he looked tremendous in camp last year, having a really good camp, but not necessarily having that greatness transform into a monster regular season. Moving on to the rookie David Bell, drafted in the third round from Purdue. He is currently on the PUP list, so he is not currently participating in any training camp. He is projected to come back within the next couple of weeks. He'll probably be in at least 2 of the preseason games. Maybe they sit him out that first one just to be super duper safe. But the Browns organization, it's clear that they view him as a lock for a week 1 starter. He's definitely going to be playing a vital role on this team. They expect him to slide into that slot receiver position that Jarvis Landry left open when he went to the Saints. The organization obviously has big expectations for him. They see him as a big value pick in the third round. I believe he was all Big Ten first team last year, so they have high expectations for him. And honestly, I think he can put it together if he can stay on the field and this foot injury doesn't pop back up and re-aggravate itself. I think this could be a very good rookie year for David Bell. The Browns also brought in return specialist Jakeem Grant, who plays receiver. This is finally a guy for Mike Prefer. Thank goodness Donovan Peoples-Jones isn't back there receiving punts and kicks. He did fine. It's not like he was bad, but there were some situations where it just kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies of him, taking risky punt returns or a kick return gone wrong. It seems like with Jakeem Grant, it's a much more stable guy there receiving kicks, and hopefully he can, return a couple to the house, maybe fill in on a receiver role, do some things there, and hopefully Jakeem Grant is around for a year or 2 at least to help kind of stabilize the special teams unit there. Anthony Schwartz is a guy who is looking to kind of come back from a sort of pedestrian rookie season. The speed is there. He sprained his knee on day 2 of training camp this year, but he is listed as day-to-day, which is not nearly as bad as it could have been when he went down with a knee injury. That's never good, especially at receiver. You hoped it wasn't something serious. You hope he didn't tear anything or break something. and it looks like he hasn't. The bullet was dodged there. He's going to be day to day. It looks like he'll return to training camp in probably about a week or so. He'll get in with the offense. It was not going to be like last year where he misses a whole bunch of off-season programming and looks kind of a step behind. So hopefully Anthony Schwartz can use that speed as a weapon more than he did last year. Hopefully he can get a little more familiar with the system. If the offense, again, might be having some big changes with Deshaun Watson coming in as quarterback, maybe it'll be a little more friendly to guys like Anthony Schwartz who can use their speed to break out. And hopefully he does better than he did last year, and if he develops and grows, there's no reason to believe that he won't be. Those four are really the only locks to make the 53-man roster and be on the team day one for week one against the Panthers. There's a guy like Jamarcus Bradley. He's been on the practice squad the past couple of years. I know he got called up against the Jets in 2020 when that COVID strike happened where the entire wide receiver group went down. I believe he was called up for a game or two last year. Jamarcus Bradley's been in the organization for a few years now. He probably knows the system. If he doesn't make the total 53-man roster, he's definitely a good candidate to land on the practice squad and maybe get called up if a couple injuries happen. He's been a good soldier in the organization, and I kind of do like it when he gets called up because it's kind of a guy you root for, I guess. The Browns also picked up fourth-year guy Javon Wims. He is also from the Bears. I think he's on the non-football / activity illness list right now, so he is not taking part in training camp as of the moment. It's unclear whether he makes the 53-man roster. If he does, he'll be pretty far down in the depth chart, and pretty soon, we're gonna start getting into the real depth players who it's definitely unsure whether they'll make the team coming out of training camp. Starting with Mike Woods, he was a 6th-round pick from Oklahoma. The Browns drafted a lot of guys from Oklahoma in this draft. Maybe they're trying to keep the Baker Sooner fans around from leaving to Carolina, although I think that ship has sailed. If the Oklahoma fans are going to leave, they're going to leave, and I say let them. I don't know why. I don't know why we're so desperate to have Oklahoma Sooners fans who only like one guy in the fan base, but whatever. If you're a Sooner fan and Mike Woods does it for you, then welcome in. Hopefully, if he leaves, you don't trash the team and the fan base on your way out. But Michael Woods, I hope he makes it. I hope all these guys who are maybe drafted later or undrafted as wide receivers, I hope they turn out to be tremendous and way better than thought. And maybe Browns could make some trades for guys that help make the team better in different areas. But starting with Mike Woods, it gets really murky whether they'll make the team from here. The undrafted rookies we have are Mike Harley, Travell Harris, and Isaiah Weston. Undrafted rookies we picked up from various places. They're probably just mostly training camp bodies. If Hard Knocks was filming one of their seasons here, probably one of these guys is somebody who they would film and you'd get to know them and their story or whatever, and it's kind of and it's gonna set up for when it's sad for when they're cut. But since HBO wasn't doing that, then we can just kind of expect them to be just kind of there to do some drills. And again, maybe one or more of these guys ends up being way better than we thought, and we have another guy that we can throw the ball to on the roster. That would be great. I think the depth at this position is a little shaky. And again, if you're going to change your offense into more of a shotgun type of offense where you're not using as many 2 or 3 tight end sets, then I think it is really good for the Browns to invest in their depth at this position and take so many flyers on so many guys, because if you throw enough spaghetti against the wall, eventually something will stick theoretically. And I mentioned him on the last video about the running backs, but Demetric Felton has already been taking reps at wide receiver. Who knows if that continues? Again, the Browns said he's a running back, but he was drafted as a hybrid player. He played wide receiver last year. The running back room is severely crowded, and Demetric Felton, it kind of makes sense for him to slide over at wide receiver, although it does beg the question if Demetric Felton isn't good enough to crack the wide receiver room, and if the running back room is going to be crowded with Chubb, Hunt, and Ernest Johnson, and then Jerome Ford takes his place, then maybe Demetric Felton just isn't for this roster. And I mean, that would be unfortunate, but I do believe he was a later round pick, and those guys don't always work out. But sometimes you just have to cut them if there's too many guys ahead of him, and another team, a worse team that could use a guy like Demetric Felton, reaps the benefits of that. And that's what happens when you have a good roster on paper, is that sometimes you have to let go of guys who are good but not good enough. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of this video. If you did, if you liked it and you would like to see more, please feel free to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the receiver position for the Browns this year and maybe some answers to some of the questions that we have. Thank you all for watching again, and I will see you on the next one.